Back in May of 2023, a woman was wanting to make some real estate purchases and found former Bachelor contestant Clayton Eckerd through LinkedIn, messaged him about wanting to do real estate, and they went and saw some properties, and then she apparently was coming on pretty heavy in text messages. He invited her over, and there was some things happening in a bedroom, we'll say, and to the tune of 2 acts of fellatio, but with no consummation.
Okay.
And
wow. Okay. Go on.
And 4 days later, she messages him and says, or well, I should say, the day after, he says, "Hey, that crossed an ethical boundary. We shouldn't do that again." And then 4 days later, she texts him and says, "Hey, I know I was fertile during that time, and I might be pregnant." And then 7 days later, she takes a pregnancy test and says, "Hey, it's positive." And then 2 weeks later, he comes over. He asks her to come over to take another pregnancy test. That one comes positive, and now he's like, "Oh man, what the heck is going on?" And he goes through this stages of denial, disbelief, and she keeps sending him all of these documents. And August of 2023 ends up filing a paternity case against him. And she says, "Well, I just wanted him to take a DNA test," and it goes through litigation, and it comes to find out this woman has been taking and manipulating sonograms and HCG tests in order to cause Clayton to believe that she continues to be pregnant, and filed an protection order against him for supposedly posting a meme on Reddit that had a Halloween, what's the name of that one? Spirit Halloween costume with her standing there with an ultrasound in her hand.
Wow.
But the ultrasound was taken from a YouTube video that was posted 7 years ago, but she claims that it's a photo of her son. Oh, by the way, she's having twins, by the way, but she doesn't have any legitimate sonograms in order to claim it or to justify it.
Yeah.
So this whole thing goes down. We fast forward. It finally goes to trial 2 weeks ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks tomorrow. And basically, it's thoroughly proven that she is a liar. The judge finds that her story is both incredible and has been a waste of judicial resources because she continues to, through her attorney, file frivolous motions, delaying the trial or delaying proceedings, and continues to try and rack up legal fees. So the judge finds that she was not the paternity case is dismissed. He's definitely not the father because she couldn't meet the burden of 95% genetic match, and then sanctions her for filing this frivolous case. And we think the likelihood is that it'll come out to she'll have to pay 6 figures or more in total attorney fees for this case. She claims to have gotten a miscarriage, but in the court order, it notices a pattern. She will drive herself to an urgent care to get a HCG test, which isn't proof positive that she's pregnant, only that she has elevated HCG levels. And that's what they're holding their hat against, is that she has 5 of these HCG tests, which conclusively proves that she's pregnant in their opinion. But it doesn't, because she never got a sonogram to verify it. The one sonogram that she did produce, she admitted to fraudulently changing the location and date on, and then adding her name to the sonogram, when she then claims in court that she went anonymous or under a pseudonym in another state that has no records of having performed such activities on. So it's really weird how she tries to skirt this line of I was pregnant, but he was causing me so much mental distress that I can't leave my house. I can't enjoy my life. I feel terrible. But then she's going to horse jumping competitions. She will drive herself to an urgent care in order to get a HCG test. She'll drive to a lab to be able to get a quantitative HCG test. But she won't go to a Planned Parenthood or an OBGYN to get a sonogram to prove that she's pregnant. And the reason is because if she did that, then they would have a medical evidence to saying that she wasn't pregnant, and then the jig would be up. Hundreds of years, women were seen as an entity that needed to be protected because they were inferior to men. So the justice system crafted laws to be able to protect them, and they were given an amount of deference to things that they were saying. And this woman has used the court's deference to her own advantage to be able to force these men into positions that they didn't need to be in.
Well said, Brad. Well said.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's infuriating. Like you said, it's emotional for me because I am a strong woman. I'm very independent. And for someone to take advantage of the things that, the advantages women are given because they typically are seen as inferior. It's like, no, I work really hard to be an equal and to be a strong person. And to say that on top of, the court system already leaning towards women and women being stronger on top of that, to say that still the unbalance is that men are doing something more wrong, and especially in this example, it doesn't logically add up to me how she got to that conclusion. In this article, don't tell me I wasn't abused one, I believe this is a repost of a picture she's now used 3 different times. You're referring to the one that's up on screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check to confirm if this is a zoomed in version, but essentially she's produced these pictures where her face looks in this state for her Uber trial when she was in a car accident with Uber and sued Uber, for her domestic violence case to show that Mike abused her. She used that as evidence. And then she also used the same hospital picture that she sent to one of the guys talking about going in for a procedure, not mentioning any abuse. So I don't know what she's trying to say with these pictures. It changes every time one of them comes to light. But essentially, she's hurt.
She's hurt. You, the online code of Justice for Clayton, have twisted in my life, has twisted my life, into your grotesque narrative, turning my truth into your lies and painting men I used to date who I have restraining orders against as martyrs. Big Johnson, I want to ask you a question in regards to who she basically said who I have restraining orders against as martyrs. The martyrs are the men in this situation. She's saying that, so does she have restraining orders against these men?
Yes. Mike, Greg, and Clayton, yes.
Okay, what happened?
Well, basically in each situation when things get combative or the guys start saying mean things to her, she applies for a protective order against them. She's gotten them granted against all these men. With Mike, she used the abuse pictures and allegations, and he got like a 5-year restraining order granted. With Greg, she's gotten it renewed twice. And then obviously the newest one with Clayton, which was upheld by Judge Mata. Judge Mata did say that she didn't have jurisdiction to I don't know the right technical term, but to make that one go away. So she does have active protective orders against them based on, in some ways, and which is Hay Bales and the timeline team and the other everyone behind the scenes are working on different timelines and comparisons to show what evidence did she use to get those protective orders, and what evidence in those protective orders have we now debunked, like the fiber ultrasound, like the bruised eye picture, to help get those guys evidence for their appeals to get them dropped. Because in every case that I read, I don't believe any of her protective orders have financial grounds to be necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a problem. It's a problem because it's not like anyone is saying don't get a protection order, but it can be
Yeah.
abused. Everything in life
Yeah.
can be abused. It's just abusers abuse. That's what they do, and people have to start seeing this as legitimate abuse, because this is legitimate grounds for abuse.
I think I would assume they were looking at it just as like, okay, for the next 24 hours or whatever, I'm going to meet this person and socialize with them. Sex on and off the table, whatever the intention behind it was. I don't think he went into it looking like or expecting to meet his future wife or future twin baby mama.
Which is not even, which is not even real at this point. But Bethan Shermy says, at Zoe, I remember now because Dr. Heinz used to do conversations with Amber Heard supporters. I haven't heard anything about her and Karen Reed until today.
Mm.
This is progress. This one person can now spread the word. This is so important, and I'm glad that you're here, Beth, to actually see what's going on, because anyone from the Deb community knows how much I want these conversations so that there's an hope to actually share and show the opposite side.
Yeah.
This was unintended, by the way. And again, for the 2 weeks in a row, we have lived up to her name.
So the way the courts are broken down here, there's family court, which this main trial was in. And then we have superior court, which is more criminal charges, municipal court, which are like minor traffic court charges. And in municipal and in superior, you can apply and see a judge to get a protective order. So those two courts are separate from family court case. So she filed in family court for parenting time and child support. And then she kept harassing Clayton, incessantly communicating with him. I don't know who did theirs first. I think Clayton applied for a protective order first, and then she did in retaliation, but it's in a separate court. So they had a judge in a case over here and then went for the protective order aspect over here. And the judge has, Judge Mata for family court got approval to combine the protective order to look at them both, but she didn't have the jurisdiction, or I don't think that's the right word to use, to quash the original protective order.
IB0093 says, subscribe to this channel now.
And hit the like button.
And hit the like button. I really appreciate this so much. Justice for Clayton. Woo! Thanks for covering this. I appreciate all you have done. Thank you so much for even tuning in and seeing that many people value your work, seeing that I value your work, and I'm not even emotionally invested. I literally read about this case 3 weeks ago. I messaged Megan immediately and be like, yo, this woman is lying. What the fuck? There's no way. That was my first message to this. I was like, hi. Hi, Megan. Yeah, this woman is lying. Like, no way. Like, it's like, oh. But, so, again, keep up the good work. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been as acquainted as I was with this case to even have an input, a valid one at that, very valid one against the forces of evil that tried to stand up in the show.